process, structure, institutions. We did a lot of talking on Wednesday, through which governments and politicians can get to consider science as part of their input in decision making. I think a bit of that was also said on Wednesday by Peter, Science for Policy or Policy for Science. And basically, Science for Policy means you are actually trying to impute science into policy. Policy for Science means you are trying to get policy to support science, like give more money to research. But Science for Policy is all the agriculture and stuff we've been talking about and how that can be imputed into policy making. Okay, I think we have no choice. Sorry? I hope you were not blocking it. Did you press it yourself or was it? Sorry. No. Maybe your battery is down. Yeah, there's no sensor, it's removed. It's not working anymore. Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, great. So the next slide, you want to try. Next slide basically tells us or shows us the difference between the policy world and the science world. So the policy world moves faster, much smaller. The other one is a bit slower. And I was telling at some place recently how that scientists like to always conclude every research with more research is needed. It's almost like, we've spoken so much, but we still can't tell you what the answer is. You need to give us more money to go work further and tell you the answer. But the policy guys don't have that time. The thing is moving pretty fast. They need to make a decision. No decision is a decision in itself. Even by the election cycle, they're going to be out if they don't do something. So it looks like these two cannot fit. Next slide. Okay, so you bring them together, you have a problem. The GAAS, there'll be a crisis. Next slide. Okay, so which is which now?
The bottom one is the next.
Is the next one. Okay, good. So there'll be a crisis. It's going to break down. But then if you want to make it work, what you do in this kind of thing, I'm not an engineer, but what you do is you introduce a GAAS system, isn't it, for those who are engineers. So you introduce a GAAS system in order to coordinate the two worlds. That GAAS system is the science advice that makes these two worlds connect, as it were. So if you had it working very well, it would be like putting in gear one. You have foresight. You can prepare for things ahead, make appropriate policy, get set for the future, like many people will consider climate change to be on the continent, is that, look, that is a futuristic thing. They say that if the temperature reaches this, there'll be a crisis. But for now, we have bigger problems that are staring us in the face. We'll deal with that one later. But then you can plan appropriately, even for future problems when the coordination is there. Also, when in a crisis situation, science advice in a crisis situation is slightly different. Things happen a lot faster. I usually give the example of when we had Ebola outbreak. For instance, in Nigeria, decisions had to be made, and they had to be made quickly. We had many decisions to make that we had never considered before. What would be the changes to burial practices and all that? These were decisions you couldn't make in 1 month's time. You had to make them now. And policy decisions had to come into place very quickly in order to curtail what was going on. So when you have that, and it's in gear 5, you can get everybody moving very fast together. The scientists are also trying to respond as quickly. So the Commissioner for Health in Lagos, for instance, said, hey guys, I need to know what to do about this and I need to know it now. I don't have time. You need to tell me. So by tomorrow when we sit down, you need to tell me what it has to be. So that's how it works in the crisis. So ultimately, that's the science advice mechanism. And if you want to make it work very well, you oil the gear system. And what is that gear system is trust. Once you're able to build trust, you get the science advice mechanism working pretty smoothly. And of course, to build trust, you need integrity, transparency, good personal relations. We were talking about some of those things, even in relation to science diplomacy the other day. So here again, we look at it. So the art of science advice, I actually like it. I like this as a title, the art of science advice, because when you think of science advice, you think it's science. It's the science advice itself, practice itself, is an art. And trust again appears. You need to build trust, but you need to build it with the politicians. You need to build it with the policymaker. You need to build it with the media, and directly or indirectly with the public through the media. And you need to build even with the scientists themselves. There has to be humility as well. You can't be arrogant about the fact that you don't understand why everybody is not listening to you. After all, you are the expert. You have to be humble about what you know. And there are several other factors that you find there. And the idea of saying it's brokerage, not advocacy, is that you have to be careful about pitching your tent very strongly in one particular direction. You need to stand by the truth, but don't pitch too hard in one direction. Otherwise, it looks like you have an ulterior agenda of your own. Okay, so the skill set you need, and several of them, you need to remember the 4 audiences we spoke about in the earlier slide. You need to understand the complexity of science. Science itself is quite complex. It's not as straightforward as we tend to think. And sometimes it's interesting if you try listening to other scientists who are not in your own field. They sound like everything they are saying is so simple. But you might not actually understand what they are saying, even if you're a scientist. So again, you need to go beyond single disciplines these days in order to solve any major problem. We need to have an idea or a good understanding of the policy cycle. Diplomatic skills are needed, and good communication skills. Again, highlighted good communication skills to the 4 audiences. It's one area where scientists need to admit and know that they need to develop skills. They need good communication skills in order to get across in this time. And now we're in a post-trust environment where everybody has Google. So everybody is a scientist, everybody is a doctor, everybody is a climatologist. Everybody has their own views on all of these things. In the days of being in the clinics, people will walk into the clinic and I say, "What's wrong with you?" He says, "I have malaria." I say, "Great, go treat yourself," because you know what it is, so just go treat yourself. But that's the way things are now. Everybody Googles it and they say, "I know it." And they will argue and argue and argue with the experts. And we must always maintain integrity and trust. Well, basically, I've removed a number of slides from this presentation the way I normally would give it. But basically, Africa has issues and has potentials, huge potentials, and we need to just connect the dots. And that science mechanism we need, science advice, we need to be able to bridge that gap between what we know, the expertise available and the knowledge, and the issues that need to be solved or tackled. And once we get that in place and get it working well and institutionalized, we'll solve many of the problems. So basically, that's what INSA is there for. INSA is there to build capacity. Build capacity by developing and engaging networks to convene different stakeholders who would look and see, who operate actually at the interface of science and policy, and to develop or to deliver capacity building workshops in science advice, just like we're trying to do here, even though with very limited time. And provide thought leadership and new knowledge for the enhanced practice at that evidence policy interface. So one of the things you can do, for instance, is go to the INSA website, register there, and even without registering, you will have access to a number of resources on science advice that you could take advantage of, including the case studies, which you could use if you get a good hang of them. So basically, the African chapter is the first on the continent, and that followed a workshop in March 2016. INSA itself was founded in 2014 under the auspices of ICSU, now ISC, the International Science Council, which used to be the International Council for Scientific Unions. And the steering committee came into place for Africa in March 2016. So that's it. Thank you very much. And you can go to insa.org. So I'll hand over to Richard, and he can introduce the case study that we'll have for the next hour or so. It works. Okay. Sorry, I was told people might have questions, so we can try taking that for 5 minutes. Is that okay? Any questions? Any comments? Any additions? Any subtractions?
Okay, so you will.
Huh? I don't understand sign language.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. The GAAS are severe. Most of these days we are seeing scientists turning into policy or legislatures. Do they change when they get there? Do we realize? I'm just asking, if we had Dr. So-and-so being a researcher, and then next month he becomes the Minister of Agriculture, does it change? I just want to find out when that spokes that was it the GAAS that you were seeing crisis and crashing each other?
Well, I guess the demons in each country are different. But on a serious note, I think one of the things that happen is a culture shock. Is that many scientists get in there and it's like a fish out of water. You're in a new space. You have to deal with a new kind of environment and thinking. The people don't think like you do. So it's either you are completely frustrated or you just quickly learn to conform and just carry on with them however they do it. And then it looks like, what happened to that man? But it's a culture shock. And I think if people also kind of paid attention, and I think a bit of the humility in trying to engage, don't think the policymakers are stupid. They can't learn anything, they can't understand anything, but try to pay attention to what happens in their world. I think that will make that culture shock reduced when people actually get the chance to move to the other side. And that's why we also talk about the evidence-informed policymaking as against evidence-based policymaking. Evidence-informed means that you acknowledge, you are aware, but it's not just your evidence that is going to inform the policy or that's going to determine the policy, but that there are many factors at play. And your evidence is just one of them. And at the end of the day, even though it's so clear to you from your research that this is what the policy direction should be, they go in a completely opposite direction because the other factors are overwhelming. And what you'll aim for is that I want to be sure they actually got to consider the right evidence. Not necessarily that once I tell them they have to accept it and just do it that way, because for the scientist or the researcher, most times that's all you are looking at, but they are looking and dealing with many other factors. Okay? Any other one? No? All right. Somebody said I spoke too fast. I'm sorry, it's the pressure of time.
All right, so we'll get down to the practicals now. To take it up from the last question, no scientist goes to a school to become a politician. I mean, if you are appointed a minister, then you start making decisions. And that's when you overlook what you know as a scientist, and because you don't want to lose votes in the next election. So even if you have to make decisions, you have to make sure that it will not cost votes for your party the next election time. So today we are going to try to see, we as scientists here, how can we try to provide evidence or provide guidelines for policy that could help, based on what we know. And we are going to do what we call a role play, where we'll look at a fictitious case study. We using a country. We don't know where it is. All we know is that it's in sub-Saharan Africa, and it has a peculiar problem. And the Prime Minister has to make a decision for an investment opportunity. And he needs the scientific advisor to advise him or her, the Prime Minister. So variously, you become advisors, scientific advisors. You play various roles. You meet in groups, and then you elect one person from each of your groups, and then they'll come up here. The Minister for Agriculture will be there, and they will provide the evidence that they have, the advice that they want to give to that minister, so that he can in turn go and inform the Prime Minister as to the best choice for the country. My colleague, Justine, will come around with the ballot papers, and you pick. It's numbered 1 to 6. So once you pick, we'll put all ones on one table, all twos will be on another table until we have a number of people sitting in groups. If you happen to have too many people with 6, then we have to adjust so that we have equal numbers. And it will also be gender sensitive. Okay. You say you are not part of it. Start reading through what I've just given out to you, especially from page 3, from the 3rd page. The front page is just an introduction. What is there says that Dumbelani is a country that has numerous land, water resources. It has energy resources, but they have food security problems. And there are a number of investors who want to take advantage of what they have, and they have different conditions for investing in that country. For instance, investor A is asking for 100,000 hectares of land for biofuel production. He wants to produce sunflower, jatropha, oil palm, which is destined primarily for the European market, but they would want to sell some locally. Then the second investor would like to obtain 20 hectares of irrigable land along the country's largest river. And this river is shared by that country with 5 other countries. And he wishes to expand his grain production area, which already extends into 3 of the 5 countries along the river. Then the third investor, who has more financial resources than the other 2 combined, is exploring the market and is open to any agricultural investment opportunities. However, that investor has clearly indicated to the authorities that he is not interested in philanthropy and is seeking to maximize return on investments. So these are the three scenarios. And the Prime Minister of Dumbelani is in a fix. He needs to make a decision, and he needs to make it very fast. And he has tasked the Minister for Agriculture to convene a meeting, a high advisory authority on agricultural investments. That's the high for short. And that meeting should be with the investors and the other people who are concerned, like the peasant farmers and those who share the river with that country, so that they all agree on what to benefit everyone in Dumbelani and the other countries, the 5 countries that share the river with them. So what we are going to do is we'll ask all those who have picked ones, all those who have picked the number 1, please come and occupy the first 2 tables here. I know you will not be up to 10. All those who have picked 1, please come and occupy the first 2 tables here. And all those who picked 2 will occupy the next 2 tables. All 3s will be here. All those who pick 3. So if you have you picked 3, okay. So you make, and then all those who pick 4 will be on these 2 tables. 4 will be here. 3 will be here. 2 is up. Yeah, 2 is up there. Where? Yes. And then 5 will be to my right. And then 6. How many pick 6? Yeah, this is 4.
Maybe 1 table each.
Yeah, if you are not many, you just sit around 1 table. That's all. 4 here. Those who pick 4 here. Five to the back over there. How many pick 5? 5. Did you pick 5? Okay, so you joined Prof here. What's the number? 2. 6. I think 6 can no, well, because there are different rows. So you come here for now. Yeah, she picked 5.
So 6 here.
Yes. 6. Who has picked 6? So you are alone. To verify that. 6. Eh?
I'm coming.
Eh? Eh?
4 people with a good balance.
Yes,
5
yes.
here is too much.
5 is too much. Can one person volunteer to join 6? Donatien, you want to join 6? Okay. Oh, you are also 2. Yeah, I mean the number of people who picked number 5. Sorry, you are only 2.
Maybe you can join the
No, because there are 6 the roles that have to play, so they have to be people. You want to join 6? Okay. You 5? Yes, you are here. I will still add. No. Well, it's 2 tables, but you can just use 1. Yeah. Are you? Did you pick 5? Yeah. So just join me. I still have to do some further adjustment. Two, you are too many. You are 6. I need 2 of you. One is coming. Yeah. You are 3. Okay, so you are still too many. Can I take 2 of you to join the others? You want to remain 6? Okay. It's fine. You can. Okay. All right. So, where is the paper in there? All right. So I will assign your names to you. Where is the paper I wrote? The plain sheet. No, it should be there. Where is that one? So group 1. Is this group 1? Yeah, a lot of people left. So you advise the investor A. So you concentrate on what investor A intends to do, and yeah, you use that for your argument when you go to meet the Minister of Agriculture. Sorry? One of you who act as that. Yeah. Yes. Because I read out what investor A intended to do. Yeah, so that's right. That's right. And this B. So, oh no, you are not part of. Where is 2? 2? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. There are also 3. So you see what I said about investor B. So you have to defend what investor B intends to do. Yeah, and push for that. Okay. And then group 3, you are going to defend what investor C intends to do. Okay. 4, the scientific advisor to the Minister of Agri. So you have to advance points that will strengthen what.
For you to make a decision on what was the theme or topic for the minister? What's the question?
The Minister of Agri has to provide evidence to the Prime Minister on that's the thing. Seizing investment opportunities and activating positive nexus interactions in that republic.
Investment opportunity.
Yes, and those are the 3 investment opportunities that I mentioned. Okay, but then there are concerns from peasant farmers, and there are concerns from other people as to if the Prime Minister should go for investment A option, how will it affect the other people? Okay, so that's is here. It's here.
Oh.
It's here. Yeah. Yeah. So this is 5. Okay, so you want to join with any of the other? But this one is very this. Okay, maybe we'll leave this one. That's an activist and advisor to the National Federation of Peasant Organizations and Small Family Farmers, who are concerned about environmental issues, and if the big time investors come. So, yes. Can we? Yeah, the other people are complaining. So, Prof, you want to join any of the other groups? Then, so please just come. Yeah. So we have 5 instead of 6. Yeah. So there are 2. I need 2 others to join them, and then 2 I will distribute to you. Yeah. But
Because it's a round table.
where would they sit? Group 6. They have 4. Yeah. Because I want to do away with what they will be discussing. So your group is not existing again. So you have to join other groups. Yeah. Yes. Please come. Please come. Please come. Please come. Because this is more interesting than what we were going to represent. So please come. Then, Prof, you can join maybe group 1.
If they are joining, then I can remain.
Because then there will now be more. Because they are already 5.
They are already 5.
Yeah, they are 5.
We're only 3.
They are 3 here plus 2.
No,
Yeah, so 4.
She was also. She was also group 5.
Yeah. Okay.
Was also group
5. Okay.
So
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. But you deal with that. I'll put a chair here for you. Yeah, come. Yeah. All right. So you have. Where is the program? It's a program. Please, you have 40 minutes. 40 minutes to read through, put down your points, and then you appoint one person who will speak on your behalf. Okay. When the Minister of Agri comes, that person will strongly articulate your position. So we'll see who will win the day. Yeah, we'll see who will win the day. All right. The Minister of Agri is just around the corner. You know, ministers. No, I'm not a minister. He will come. I don't want to unveil him now. So your 40 minutes starts now. Right.
Can you clarify a little bit?
So what I'm saying is the whole thing is about an investment opportunity for this country, which has all those natural resources. But the idea is that they want to consider the nexus approach, where no side will suffer. We are talking about land, we are talking about energy, we are talking about water. Whatever investment opportunity you agree on, every side should benefit.
Which side?
Like you don't allow them to come and undertake an investment which will degrade the land.
Okay.
You don't allow them to do something that will take away all the water resources. For instance, if you read through this, those in the other countries who share the water think that if these people go ahead with this project, they said they will, where the word says withdraw, but I think it's draw. If they go and dam the river, then they take all the water. So you look at what this person intends to do. This one says he has a lot of money, but he is just for profit. It's not a charity case. And you are supposed to defend that case, that is not a charity case. You close your eyes and negate what the other people are saying, that you believe that the country should be a capitalist country. You don't care about anybody. He should do it, and that's your point. So you can advise the Minister of Agri, go ahead with this one, because this man, whatever he will do, will benefit the people more. Even if you don't know it won't benefit, like lawyers, you say it will benefit. Yes. A positive. That's right. That's right. Okay. Will Christian come? Christian, is he going to come? So you you will be the minister. Okay. Eh? Is it off? Are you mean? Okay. I'm going to sort you. Okay, so I put it off here. Where is it?